welcome to our live Q&A session. I'm Coach Tyler, the head coach and founder of a little company called WeShape, which is trying to make fitness so much different for so many people. Because to us, the fitness industry focuses on intensity way too much and not how your body feels. So let's do fitness that actually feels good. And so that's why we're doing this Q&A today, is to help you find movements and stretches and strategies to help you feel better in your body. So if you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, right now, the first thing you need to do is think about the number one question that you would have for me that I can answer for you to help you feel better in your body. Or maybe it's a mindset shift that you need in order to be able to show up consistently for yourself, because you already know that you should be doing something. But go ahead and post that in the comments. So here's what's gonna happen. My team is gonna grab the best questions from the comments. So be specific, not hyper specific, but be specific enough where I can answer the question. Don't just say, how do I make my ankles feel better? You know, tell us about your injury that you had, tell us about what you've tried, and then tell us, you know, what your specific question is. But we're gonna grab those questions, they're gonna put them on the screen in front of me, and I'm gonna sit here for the next hour or so answering your questions live, again, for the purpose of helping you move better and feel better, which is what we're all about at WeShape. So let's get started. My first question today is from Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. Thanks for calling in. I have been sedentary for way too long and have difficulty with walking. How can I reset and gain mobility? Now, I like this question because there's this thing that everybody says, which is, if you want to be healthy for a long period of time, if you want to go out and do some exercise to lose weight, then what you should do is walk, right? Well, just like any movement or exercise, if you do something wrong or you don't do something when your body's in good alignment, it's going to cause pain, which is why a lot of people end up walking and walking and walking until one day their body becomes painful and they can't walk anymore. At least not for the distances that they used to walk for. And then over time, that distance shrinks, and eventually, we aren't able to move our bodies anymore. So if this is you, if you're on this path, maybe you can't walk as far as you used to, I want to talk to you about not just how do you get back to walking, I want to talk to you about walking the right way and making sure that you're actually doing this in a way that your body likes, okay? So the most common thing that I see people do wrong when they walk is we're supposed to move in this nice contralateral movement pattern. So as my knee comes up, my arm comes forward, and my opposite side goes like this. You see, this is how most people are supposed to walk, run, go up and down stairs like this. But as we age and we lose the capacity to walk, and especially if we have weak feet, weak hips, or injured hips and knees, we start to walk like this. The whole body comes to the side, and the whole body comes to the side. I'm exaggerating this, but you'll see a lot of people who have aches and pains in their back, their hips, their knees, their ankles, their feet, walking like this. And this is part of the problem. Because while this may have been the way you were able to walk when you were injured, it's actually causing you to become less mobile and less capable of walking. So here's what I want you to do. If you want to get back to walking, then let's do a simple routine that you can do every day to get you back there, all right? So the first point is we're going to start by having something next to us for support. Okay, so I like to use a chair for support if we need to. You can use this chair with your hand like this. Now we want to learn how to walk in a way that heals our body and strengthens our body, okay? So the first thing I want you to pay attention to is my foot. So we're going to talk about the foot first, all right? So if your foot is inactive right here, and what that means is your arch is really flat like this, then what that means is your knee caves in, your hip caves in, and your whole body doesn't have good stability. So we want to practice first is, can we activate our arch? And the way I like to think about this is if I try to rotate my foot this direction, I'm going to create a nice arch in my foot. So as I do this, you'll see a nice arch happen in my foot, okay? And sometimes it helps to lift the toes to the nose as you do this, okay? Now in this position, try to keep the arch and see if you can place the toes back down on the ground, but without lifting the ball of the foot off the ground, okay? So all we're gonna do is practice creating that arch. Now I'm kneeling down to show you, but we wanna do it in a standing position. Look like this. Foot down, create the arch, then place your toes down on the ground, and then relax. All you gotta do is foot down, create the arch on the way down, then put your toes down, and then relax, okay? We're gonna try it on the other foot too. So foot down, get the arch, toes down, and then relax. Now this is a movement pattern that most people haven't done for a long time. So it's okay if you're sitting in a chair while you practice this. It's okay if you do this, for a minute, 3, 4, 5 times a day. It's not something where you're going to feel soreness or anything like that. But check this out. What are we doing when we walk? The first thing we do is we absorb shock with our feet by having the arch, then we transfer the weight to our toes, and then we move forward with our locomotion, okay? So instead of just flopping your foot down and not thinking about it, the first thing you do is we put our foot down with the arch, then we put our toes down and keep the arch active, okay? So practice this for 1 minute each side, just putting your foot down with the arch and then putting your toes down and keeping the foot active, okay? 1 minute on the right, 1 minute on the left. Next after that, we're gonna put your foot down, we're gonna keep the toes active, and then I'm gonna transfer my center of mass over that foot. And what that looks like is this. If I had a line from my nose to my belly button, if I stand right here, then the middle of that line goes between my feet. If I'm walking, then as I transfer my weight to that foot, that line goes over the center of my active foot. Now this is really helpful because if I go like this and my spine is bent to the side like this, then I'm going to cause pain and misalignment across the whole side of my body, including my hip, my lower back, my knees, my ankle, and even my feet, okay? So what you're going to practice here is this. Hand on the chair, you're going to shift your weight over one foot, lift the other one, then you're going to shift your weight over the other foot and lift the other one, just like this, okay? So again, you shouldn't necessarily go out in the world and just hit the pavement and see how many miles you can do. You have to move better to feel better. Notice how I didn't say move more to feel better. So if walking is your issue, this is the starting point. Active foot, active toes, transfer your weight. Active foot, active toes, transfer your weight. And just practice like this, going back and forth until you get a good feel for active feet and keeping your center of mass aligned over your feet. Now the next thing you can do, here's a really cool strategy to start practicing more throughout the day. You could take a piece of tape or a rope or anything that you can just put down on the floor and make a nice long line. And then what you can do is every time you walk past that rope, a hallway is a great place for this, or that tape on the ground, you can put your foot down on one side, transfer your weight, and then put your foot down on the other side and transfer your weight, and just practice walking. The more we practice walking with good form, active feet, active hips, active posture, the better your body's gonna feel when you walk. But what most people don't realize is with anything fitness related, especially when you're transitioning from doing more to get more out of exercise to doing less, but doing it better, we have to take a few steps backwards in order to take steps forward. So if all you did was practice this weight shifting for 10 minutes a day, and literally what you can do is start by just doing weight shifting for 30 seconds and then rest for 30 seconds and repeat that 10 times. If you just practice that, active feet and weight shifting, and then you put that tape down your hallway and you started practicing walking throughout your house, what's going to happen is you're going to change the way that you move, change the way that you walk. And then when you go out in the real world and start walking again, don't go back to a quarter mile or a half mile or a mile right away. Go back to walking to the mailbox and back. Go back to walking to your neighbor's house or a couple neighbors' houses down and back. And gradually build from there. But don't do hundreds or thousands of repetitions wrong, because all that's going to do is make your body move worse, which is going to make your body feel worse, okay? So I hope that helps, Suzanne. I really do. Just practice 10 minutes a day, all right? All you have to do is practice 10 minutes a day. Remember, it's not about going out there and hitting the pavement. It's about practicing your walk, practicing your gait, and seeing if you can make it feel better in a stationary pattern so that you can take it out in the world and keep doing it, okay? If for any reason any of this stuff bothers you more, just post in the comments. We'll see if we can come back and help you out as well. All right, my next question comes from Darcy. If I've had a desk job for 20 years and my hips, sciatic nerves, and middle back muscles are suffering and painful because of it, what would be the three, I love this, this is great, what would be the three most beneficial exercises you would suggest I do daily to reduce pain and inflammation in those areas? Okay, this is great because most people who have a sedentary job sit a lot, and when we sit a lot, we enter this position right here. And if we look at this position, there's a few things that happen on anybody who's sitting a lot throughout the day. First, our chest and shoulders get tight, and the muscles between our shoulder blades start to get really weak, and so we end up with kind of this bad postural position. And then next, our hip flexors get really tight as well, which when we stand up often pulls our pelvis forward, almost like it's tipping downward like this, which can put a lot of pressure on the lower back, the discs in the lower back, and the nerves in the lower back, okay? So let's do this one stretch at a time, okay? And this is gonna be cool because you say you had a desk job, and what I wanna do is show you moves that you can do at your desk or around your desk, because I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who've struggled with bad posture in both their shoulders and their pelvis. Just need a couple quick moves to feel so much better, okay? So the first one, and ideally, check this out. This is something you can do like once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, and just do each stretch for like 1 minute, okay? And if you do this, you can start to integrate movement and stretching and mobility and even strength training into your life, and then you'll start to feel better. Because there's this misnomer out there that in order to do fitness right, quote unquote right, what we have to do is we have to go join a gym and do an hour workout 2 or 3 days a week. But that's not true, okay? You don't have to do that. What you can do instead is just integrate movement into your life, and you'll be shocked at the results that you'll get from it, okay? So first stretch I would do is to stretch my thoracic spine and my chest with a simple spine twist. And this one you can do right in the chair at your desk, okay? So what you'll do is this. You'll go from this slumpy posture, you'll sit nice and upright, and then you'll try to keep your shins in line with the chairs. Try not to, chair legs, try not to let your legs swivel from side to side, okay? Now from there, I'm gonna get a nice tall posture. I'm gonna grab onto my opposite knee with my hand. I'm gonna place my hand by my hip here. I'm gonna start to rotate my spine. The whole time I'm thinking tall through the top of my head, and I'm gonna look over my shoulder with my eyes, and I'll feel a stretch in my upper back and oftentimes throughout my chest right here. Now, if you don't feel the chest stretch, you can try this. You can see if you could put your hand on the back of your chair, but don't lift the elbow like this. That's gonna put your shoulder in a lousy position. Instead, drop the elbow down like this and use this arm to try and pull you into a deeper stretch, okay? And then you hold this position, you take big belly breath in, you exhale, and you allow your spine to rotate a little bit further, okay? Slowly unwind after you hold that for about a minute, and then make sure you do the same thing on the other side. Reach across, grab the back of the chair or the side here, and then twist, okay? So that's the first move I would do every single day, is that chair twist. Gosh, having some rotational mobility in your thoracic spine and a looser chest can do wonders for your posture, okay? Now the second one, you can also do this in a chair, but I'll show you a few different ways to do this because, again, I want you to integrate movement into your life. What you can do is scoot to the front of your chair like this, put your hands behind you with your fingertips pointed to the outside or even backwards if you want, and then what you're gonna do is pull your shoulder blades back and down, drop your shoulders away from the ears, and lift your chest toward the sky. What you wanna feel here is you wanna feel the muscles between your shoulder blades, pulling your shoulder blades back and down, and you wanna feel a stretch coming through your chest and shoulders, all right? Now, for some of you, this is gonna be challenging, and that's fine. And if it's too easy for some of you, you know what you can do? As you lift your chest, you can even drive your heels on the ground, and you can even lift your hips up like this for a second and come back down and do some low chair tabletop lifts like this to really, really loosen up the shoulders and strengthen the posture. Now, the last thing you wanna do, and this one you can do standing, is you're gonna wanna stand up. You're gonna wanna turn your body to the side, come into a lunge position, turn your hips forward, and this is the most important part. Don't let your lower back right here become a big arch. Instead, tuck your pelvis under like this, and then as you come forward, keep your pelvis there. And what you'll feel is a stretch through this back hip flexor right here. In this position, we wanna take big belly breaths in, exhale, and think length through that back heel, length through this hip right here. And if we wanna deepen the stretch, you could put your hand on a chair for support if you need to. We'll do a little side bend like this, reaching the arm overhead and pointing the thumb backwards at the top. You'll feel the stretch go deeper into the abdomen. Again, this one for about a minute on the left, and make sure you do a minute on the right side as well. So that question was for Darcy, from Darcy. If you have desk job and your hips, your SI joint, your middle back are suffering, those 3 moves, okay? The seated twist like this or with the hand on the back, the open shoulder stretch, right? We want to open the chest, open the shoulders, activate the shoulder blades, and then lastly, the hip flexor stretch like this. Those 3 stretches should make you feel a whole lot better. All right, we got another one. By the way, if you're just joining us right now, I want to let you know we are doing a Q&A session, and my goal is just to help you learn how to move your body better so you feel better, because the reality is most of the programs out there are one size fits most, cookie cutter programs that weren't designed for your body. And I've been a personal trainer for a very long time, both offline and online. And what I learned along the way was that every body, including your body, is different. And that means you need different stretches, different variations of those stretches. You need different movements and different variations of those movements in order to make your body feel better. Because if you strengthen the wrong muscles or you stretch the wrong muscles, you can actually make your body feel worse. And if you move the wrong way while you're doing it, don't even get me started on that. It's not going to make you feel better, all right? So anyways, this is a Q&A. Post your question in the comments on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We'll be ripping through questions for the next 45 minutes or so, all right? So Dolly, first of all, love the name. Dolly says, I love your demonstrations. Thank you, Dolly. I am happy to always do these demonstrations and help people feel better. I have a bulging lower disc from a very bad fall, so my options are limited. That sucks. I always hate when acute injuries cause pain and limit your options. But I did therapy to strengthen my core, and I lost about 50 pounds, which helped. But I need something specifically for the core without planks, sit-ups, pull-ups, and all the other great core strengthening moves. I use 3-pound hand weights for my arms, but I'm looking for back and ab moves. Can you help me? By the way, I'm 78 years old and still care about how I look. That's okay. You can care about how you look, Dolly, but let's care about how you feel right now, and let's talk about something that everyone needs to use in their workout program, okay? I heard you say I want to do this without planks, without sit-ups. Now, I'm in agreement that anybody with back pain probably shouldn't do spinal flexion and extension like sit-ups, crunches, things like that. They don't tend to help you. They don't tend to target the right muscles in the core. But planks and plank variations, if you do them right, should be some of the best movements for strengthening your core. If you have a progression that allows you to slowly build up from one step to the next. And this is what I want to talk about for this question here is, what is a core movement progression? And by the way, you can put a movement progression on any movement, any rehabilitation movement, any stretch in the world. And it's essential because if you do too much too fast, you know what happens? And we know this. Like I said, I've been a trainer online for 10 years. If you do too much too fast, what happens? You get hurt, you get burned out, and you stop. And people get stuck in what I like to call the one step forward, one step back game. And we get stuck in that game for not years, but sometimes decades. And what happens when you take one step forward and one step backward for decades? Nothing. You go nowhere, right? So that's why progressions like the one I'm about to show you are so important. Because if you do them slowly, if you focus on form and quality and the quality of the movement, then that's how you can make progress safely. Then we end up taking baby steps forward, but we don't have to take those steps backwards. And guess what happens in the long haul? We go a lot further, okay? So let's talk about the plank and let's talk about the core, especially for people with back pain, disc issues, etc. Let's do it safely, okay? So with any one of these progressions, I want you to follow a simple rule, okay? 3 sets, 1 minute per set, 1 minute rest between sets, 3 days a week, okay? So 3 days a week, mark it on your calendar. You only need 7 minutes basically. And what you're going to do is 3 sets of 1 minute. And once you're able to do the progression, the variation that I'm showing that, and in a way that feels good to your body, then you can go to the next level up. Okay, so I'll explain that as I go. First, let's figure out how to activate your core and teach you how to do the plank the right way, because there's one thing that everyone does wrong in the plank. It drives me nuts because almost nobody teaches it, okay? So with the plank, a lot of times when people hold the plank, they have their hands out like this. But what they're doing is they're pushing up with their arms and their shoulders in order to hold the position. When we do this, we deactivate our lats, our serratus, and our core, and we put our back in a more compromised position. So instead of feeling our arms push up like this as we do the plank, we want to always feel our arms push down like this in the plank. So the first variation I'm going to do is called a seated thigh plank. It's really simple. Come to the edge of a chair, all right? You're going to be feet slightly wider than hip width, toes slightly turned outward, and all you're going to do is take your wrists, put them on top of your knees like this, drop your shoulders down away from your ears, nice tall posture, and all you're going to do is press down on your knees. All I'm literally doing is just pressing down on my knees. And what I'm going to feel is the muscles underneath my armpits and the muscles down through my rib cage, and then eventually into my core. You're going to feel those muscles firing. I don't care if you're advanced or if you're a complete beginner. You should be able to feel this because you can control the pressure by how hard you're pushing down with your hands, okay? Your goal right now is, can you push down with your hands and hold that tension for 1 full minute? At first, that might be too much. You could start with 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, but you want to see if you can do it for 1 full minute. And then rest for a minute and repeat another minute. And then rest for a minute and then repeat for 1 more minute. So I said it was going to take 7 minutes. That whole routine would take you 5 minutes, okay? Do that routine 3 days a week until you feel like this is something you've mastered. And really when I say this, what we're trying to feel is, do I feel all the muscles from my arms down into my core activating because of how I'm pushing my hands down, okay? And once you're able to do this, we're going to do a plank variation that's a little bit more challenging, but the most important thing is that we remember that golden rule, no pushing up with the shoulders, because that's going to sacrifice your back position and end up hurting you. We're always going to be pulling down, and I'll show you how this gets a whole lot harder really fast, okay? So that's level 1. We're going to do that variation, okay? Level 2, we're going to come to a chair, and I'm going to take a little more time to describe this one, then we'll go faster the next few because they're all going to be pretty much the same. Level 2, on the back of a chair or a countertop, nice and sturdy, something nice and sturdy, come into a plank position. And the most important thing is this. A lot of people when they plank, especially if they're pushing their arms up, they're going to arch their lower back like this or let their hips sag down like this. See both of these positions? I have an excessive arch in my lower back. And what that means is discs are compromised, back is compromised, okay? So if you want to do this in a way that protects your lower back and makes your body feel good, hold the position, and then from there, squeeze the glutes and tuck the pelvis. It's okay to have a little arch in your lower back, but we don't want the butt to stick out at all like this or sag down like this. It's all about this subtle shift. Squeeze the glutes and tuck the pelvis. And really squeeze those glutes, okay? Now next, just like we did with the seated thigh plank, press your hands into the chair. I try to think about it like I'm trying to tip the chair backwards like this with the strength of my arms. Now don't actually do that. You just want to create that tension. Now in this position, you'll see I'm already like almost shaking because I'm pushing down against the chair so hard. Such a great ab movement because of the way we're generating force. Now, just like before, try to hold this for 1 minute. Come up very slowly. Use your arms for support. Rest, shake it out, and then go ahead and do a minute, and then rest for a minute, and then do 1 more minute. So another 5-minute routine. If you can do that for 5 minutes, okay, now we'll go through the next levels a little faster. Then we'll make the next level a little more challenging. And by the way, this isn't something that you should progress through in like each day you do the workout. This could be the seated plank for 2 weeks, the high chair plank for 2 weeks. Now we go to the low chair plank for 2 weeks, okay? So for the low chair plank, I'm gonna put my fingertips to the outside. This typically helps people with wrist pain. And I'm also gonna bring my legs back, same position as before. I'm gonna try to drag the chair towards my hips without letting my lower back come down, okay? Now this makes it even harder, right? Same position, same routine. 3 sets of 1 minute with 1 minute rest. If you can do that, then guess what? We can move the chair and we can come down to the ground and we can repeat the plank all the way down on the ground. Same thing, no pushing the arms up. Instead, dragging the arms backwards. Now this is gonna limit the amount of time that you can hold the plank because it's gonna make it a whole lot harder. But what do you want to do? Do you want to do something that is longer but is poor movement, less effective, and more likely to injure you? Or something that's shorter, more effective, better movement, and likely to build up your strength, okay? So don't sacrifice form because it's so easy. I'm doing a plank the wrong way here. I'm doing a plank the right way here. There's almost no difference in the way this looks from the outside, except for one, I'm pushing my arms forward. The other one, I'm pulling my arms backwards. So take this with you everywhere you go if you're doing planks. Fantastic tip that will change the game for planks, right? And if you can do 3 sets of 1 minute with active arms pulling back towards you on the ground, it's gonna feel incredible and your core is gonna be really strong. The big thing to focus on though is just go slow, okay? Just go slow. I gave you 4 different levels right there. If you took each level over the course of even like a month or maybe 6 weeks, then 6 months from now, you'd have an incredibly strong core and you would do it safely. So go slow, okay? All right, I'm gonna take a sip of water. If you guys are just joining us, we're doing a Q&A session with myself, Coach Tyler, the head coach and founder of WeShape, where our goal is to help you feel good in your body and about your body by teaching you how to move better and connect with your body. So post your questions in the comments section if you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. And by the way, I did want to mention something really quick. If you guys are watching this and you're wondering, how do I figure out the right movements and stretches for my body? I got something cool for you. If you look at the description of these videos, we got a link that's going WeShape.com/quiz. And And when you click that link, we've got a quiz that you can take for free that's going to find the best movements and stretches for your body and put them together into a simple 10-minute routine that you can do from home. And you can get 2 weeks for free, 100% free, where you can try this workout system out to have personalized movement and stretching routines. So if you want to check that out, go WeShape.com/quiz. Or if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can even just DM us the word quiz and we will drop you a link in your DMs, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to get back to this next question in just 1 second. Okay, I got 2 questions that are very similar. One of them is from a WeShape member. Hi, Carissa Robinson. And then K, I don't know, it doesn't sound like her name, but anyways, that's the screen name on the other one. So the questions are, what's your answer for someone who has fallen off the physical activity wagon and fallen so far they can't even see the wagon in the distance? How do I get back on and stay on? And the other one was, how do we get back on track if we've been off track for a very long time? Okay, this is a great question because I think a lot of people struggle with this. And the reality of the situation is, when we've been off track for a long time, when I say been off track, what that ultimately means is we're not consistently showing up to take care of ourselves, right? We don't have a habit of doing a movement or stretching practice to take care of ourselves. If it's been a really long time, then it can feel really challenging to get started again, okay? And so just know that the longer you've not been doing it, the harder this can feel. That being said, most people make a mountain out of a molehill in their minds. And I did this. It's called black or white thinking, okay? And so what do? We're on a diet, but we made a mistake and had a sugar packet in our coffee that morning. Forget the diet. I'm just going to eat whatever I want, right? And then we give up. This is black or white thinking, right? If I don't do it perfectly, then I'm not doing anything. Same thing with workouts. I'm going to work out every day for an hour, and I'm going to join this thing and blah, blah, blah. And we do it for a couple days, and then we don't do it. I'm a failure, and then we just don't do it anymore, okay? And so, in my opinion, the secret to getting back on track is to do a whole lot less, okay? Do a whole lot less. Instead of creating this cycle of shame and self-punishment and judgment in your mind, which is what most people do. They typically think to themselves, I hate the way I look, I can't believe I've gotten to this place, and so I should go work out. You hear how so much of that is negative, right? Like here's something you can imagine to yourself. Imagine saying that to your child or your best friend, right? Oh God, you're so repulsive. You've done nothing for so long. You should go work out. How is that going to serve them? Are they going to feel motivated? Or are they just going to feel really shamed by that? Well, the reality is we do this to ourselves all the time. We beat ourselves up because that's what we've been taught to do. But here's something that's really cool. I've got 2 daughters. It's part of the reason why we do this work at WeShape and the more meaningful mindset work, which is really helping people learn how to show up for themselves because they value themselves, because they want to care for their bodies, not because they hate their bodies. And the reason why I do that work is because I watch these kids be born into this world loving themselves, wanting to move their bodies, enjoying it. And what happens along the way? We're taught to not enjoy it. We're taught that working out is a punishment for what we ate yesterday. Or we get injured and we realize that movement doesn't feel good. But that's because nobody's taught you how to do it differently. So again, it's about doing a whole lot less. And it's about letting go of the shame, the self-judgment, the fear that most of us hold on to throughout things that have accumulated in our lives. And so for both of you, you have to start by doing something small, okay? One of the easiest things you can do is just like pick a stretch that you can do each day, okay? And start there. Just do the stretch each day. And you don't even have to do it every day. If you miss a day or two, not a big deal. Why don't you start with seeing if you can do this stretch every day or every other day for 2 weeks, right? And I'll show you one of my favorite stretches. This is great for anybody who has tight hamstrings, they want more mobility. And this is why I like this stretch a lot, especially when it comes to building new habits like this, is because you can do it in bed and we can attach it to a habit of going to sleep, right? So you're going to go to sleep anyways. You might as well have a little belt or yoga strap or a towel next to your bed as a reminder. And then when you lay down in bed, what you're going to do is put that towel over the ball of your foot like this, lay backwards, and lift your leg up into a nice hamstring stretch. If that bothers you too, you can lift your other leg up like this.
usually helps tilt the pelvis and help people with lower back pain. And just hold this stretch for a minute while you breathe and relax. And then switch to the other side and hold that stretch for a minute while you breathe and relax. Okay? Now here's the important part. As soon as you're done with that, I want you to do something very, very important. I want you to take a moment and I want you to thank yourself for showing up to take care of your body. Okay? I want you to feel, wow, I did this 1 minute stretch on each side and it felt good. And I feel good about myself. And when you do this, you reinforce something that we call the feel-good loop at WeShape. Because like I just mentioned, when someone tells you or you tell yourself that you should work out because of how gross you've gotten or how much you hate your body, the way your body looks, you're reinforcing a fear loop, a negativity loop. But when you stretch and you feel good, and then you thank yourself for showing up to take care of your body, you reinforce a feel-good loop. And when things feel good, we want to do them more. When things feel bad, we don't want to do them. So it's no wonder why most people, at least in my opinion, can't be consistent with their workouts. It's because they're doing it from a place of feeling bad, both about their bodies, about themselves, and in the way they're approaching their workouts. But if you start small and you do something simple like this, just like a simple stretch, and you take a moment to express gratitude to yourself, you'll reinforce that feel-good loop, and that can be the snowball at the top of the hill that we get rolling, that builds and builds and builds over time, all right? So don't overcomplicate it. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. By the way, if you don't know what to do, I already said this, but part of what we do at WeShape is we create movement routines and stretching routines that are personalized to your body, and we have routines as low as 10 minutes. And so if you're inside the WeShape community and you can't figure out how to stay motivated, that's what I start with. I say, do a 10-minute routine 2 or 3 days a week. And just do the stretching ones if you want, because they feel really good, okay? So if you want to check that out, go to WeShape.com/quiz. Click the link around here. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can comment the word quiz, and we'll DM you a link to that as well. You can try out these 10-minute routines for free, okay? Okay, let's go some more questions here. Michelle, I had an accident last year and broke 8 ribs, and my back is still fragile and hurt. How can I get my upper back stronger? I'm scared to do too much and hurt myself. I'm 75 years old and I need some help. Well, Michelle, thanks for the question. I'm really sorry about the accident. I don't know if you guys know anything about my past, but one of the ways I've learned a lot about the human body and about how to fix it and how to move well is by making some really bad mistakes and injuring myself. And one of the worst was my knees. And so I really get it when it comes to feeling stuck and feeling like there might be no hope or no solution for you. But again, if you've been watching this live for a while, the key that I've found that's helped me and helped thousands of other people who are participating in our WeShape routines right now is starting small and doing a very simple progression. If you do a simple progression, that's what allows you how to build a strong foundation and then allows you to take small steps forward to ultimately build a beautiful house, okay? And so I did a core progression earlier that showed you some different levels. I want to show you a progression for the upper back that could help you as well, okay? So you'll start with the first level. If it feels good, you can go up to the next one. If it feels good, you can go up to the next one. And just listen to your body. If it feels too much, go down a level or stick at this level for a couple weeks, a couple months until it starts to feel good again, all right? So what we want to do for the upper back for the most part, especially with the ribs, is we want to strengthen the muscles that open up the body like this, okay? All right? When we break our ribs, our body comes into this tight holding pattern down here. We want to create extension. We want to create scapular retraction because that typically makes the shoulders and the upper back feel really good. So try this out. See if it feels good for you. But remember, everybody who's watching this right now, listen to your body. All right? I say this to our members all the time. I want to teach you movements and stretches as tools to help you feel better in your body, but ultimately you are the guru of your body. So listen to your body, okay? If it doesn't feel good, don't do these moves, okay? But let's start with something so simple that it probably will feel good. So start with your elbows by your hips and your palms toward the sky like this. Now all you're going to do is rotate your thumbs out as far as you can until you feel the muscles between your shoulder blades firing, and then come back forward like this. All right? And all I want you to do, Michelle, is try to do this movement twice a day for 1 minute. Okay, so set a timer. This is the only time I'll tell people to grab your phone. You know, I don't think phones are the most healthy thing in the long run, but grab your phone, set an alarm, and just say, do this simple movement snack, right? Shoulder external rotation. Okay, so this is the first level. If this feels good for you, Michelle, the next level is I'm going to bring my elbows to 45 degrees. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to externally rotate my shoulders with my elbows staying at 45 degrees. And again, I'm feeling the muscles in between my shoulder blades back here squeezing together and my shoulders opening up. Sometimes I'll feel a stretch across my chest as well. If you can do that and it feels comfortable, bring your elbows higher so they're in alignment with your shoulders, okay? And then point your thumbs backwards, and we're going to do external rotations right here, all right? So this will be the third variation, the third level. If that starts to feel easier, then what we can do is this. We can come into a wider stance, and this time I want you to bow forward from the hips, but keep a nice flat back, so the back stays flat. Don't round your back like this, okay? All you're going to do is just bow forward from the hips, keep the core tight, keep the posture tall, thumbs pointed backwards, and you're going to do this. You're going to lift your arms overhead slowly this time. You're going to feel your traps and your upper back firing as you go back and forth slow and control like this. Again, twice a day for 1 minute. It doesn't have to be every day, but set that alarm. It's just 1 minute, okay? Remember, we can do movement snacks throughout the day to accumulate volume of movement and make our bodies feel so much better, all right? Now, if that starts to feel easy for you, and that's already pretty challenging for a lot of people, so by the way, if you're there already, you're on the right track, all right? But if that feels too easy for you, then we can start to do one in a standing position. So hinge forward at the hips, thumbs pointed backwards, and we'll do some arm raises here, okay? And you can start at maybe a 20, 30 degree angle, and then we can go to a 45 degree angle, and then we can see if we can slowly work our way down to being able to do this position at a 90 degree angle going up and down like this. If you can do these at a 90 degree angle, you're going to have great mobility in your rib cage, in your shoulders, and a lot of good strength in your upper back that's going to help improve your posture. And I really hope that it helps you feel better in your body after such a bad injury and breaking all those ribs. So Michelle, give that a shot. Again, move slow, listen to your body, but there's a simple progression starting with something really easy that a lot of people can do, even people with shoulder pain. And this is a great one too. If you have shoulder pain when you lift your arm overhead, if you notice that when you lift your arm overhead, you shrug your shoulder up and your neck gets tight, and maybe you even turn your palm forward or out like this, then these are kind of similar symptoms that Michelle's talking about here. So turn the palm toward the sky and then open the chest up like this. That should make your shoulders feel a whole lot better too. Okay, let's go to Songs for the Soul. That's the name of this person who asked this question, okay? I'm a side sleeper, and every morning I wake up with pain in my right shoulder. Is there anything I can do to prevent this from happening? I'm happy you asked this question, Songs for the Soul, because I'm a side sleeper too, and I've had to do a lot of different things to try and figure out how to position my body in a way that didn't cause pain. And I'm really happy to share them with you right now, okay? So as a side sleeper, and I'm a side sleeper with particularly broad shoulders, the biggest thing that you have to make sure of is if my shoulder is in contact with the bed, am I compromising spinal alignment, okay? And so for a lot of people, what ends up happening is they smash this shoulder into the ground, they get a pillow that's not tall enough, the shoulder kind of comes forward in this position like this, and we end up essentially kind of sleeping here like this. We wonder why our shoulder hurts, okay? So the first step is we need to find a pillow where if I lay my shoulder on the ground and I'm in good spinal alignment, I need a pillow that supports my head right here, which for a lot of people is a thicker pillow than you likely think. So here, my team just threw me this one. Here is a thin pillow. You'll see if I put my head on this pillow, I'm probably either gonna have neck pain up here or shoulder pain down here. But if I doubled the thickness of this pillow and I put my head on top of it like this, now check it out. I'm in much better alignment and my arm is no longer smashed down. Now another thing for you to try out is this. Instead of just having the arm to your side like this, I like to bend my elbow and bring it into this position where my elbow comes forward and my hand comes right next to the pillow, but I'm still stacked on top of the pillow. I'm not letting my shoulder roll out of place like this, okay? My shoulder is on the mattress, my arm is up, and my head is on the pillow, and my spine is nice and neutral. Now, this is a good starting point, but there's a couple more things that you're going to want to do here, okay? I know this is crazy, but for the side sleepers out there who can't sleep on their back, this is a game changer. One, when we have our legs together, especially if we have wide hips, what that forces us to do is it forces us to do more internal rotation. So that can often cause a little bit of pain in the back, in the knees, or even in the top shoulder because the arm is slumped down like this. So another thing you can do is put another pillow between your knees so that when you're looking at yourself from a side angle, you have perfect symmetry all the way down the line. See if my knees are together, this knee is coming across the side, but if I put a pillow in between them, now I have perfect symmetry going up and down my body just like this. All right, hold on, my team's bringing more pillows over. So again, put the pillow between the knees, and all of a sudden, I have so much more symmetry, and it makes my body feel better. Now, what I like to do is, honestly, I'll sleep with a big body pillow right here, because the last step is, if this arm just relaxes down like this, I'm gonna put this shoulder in an overstretched position too. So having this arm elevated on top of the body pillow, or on top of a different pillow in front of you, more like this, is gonna keep this shoulder in a good position. So if you didn't count that up, that means that Coach Tyler sleeps with 3 pillows every night, all right? One, the right height underneath his head to keep everything up and down. One between the knees, and mine extends all the way up to the arms. And then another one underneath my arm to make sure that these shoulders aren't rolled forward like this. That was a game changer for me when it comes to side sleeping. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but I'm not somebody who can sleep on his back. And I hated waking up with pain in my neck and my shoulders. So songs for the soul. I hope this helps you out, helps your body feel so much better, all right? Okay, what time is it, guys? We're already 45 minutes deep? Okay, I'm gonna do some lightning rounds here. I got a ton of time for a couple more questions, and then we're gonna wrap this live Q&A. We're gonna be doing live calls, by the way, a lot more frequently in the next few months. One of the goals that we had as a team was to connect with our community, which is you watching this video right now, a whole lot more in a more authentic way. I know we post tons of social media videos. We've got like 5.5 million followers across our social media. We get like hundreds of millions of views over the last few months. But doing something like this allows me to connect directly with you and see if we can do something that helps you feel better in your body. I get to do live calls like this, by the way, every single week with our WeShape members, where it's much smaller groups. So if you want to check that out, as well as get personalized follow along movement and stretching routines that are perfect for your body, go to WeShape.com/quiz. You can check that out, take our quiz, and we'll figure out the best movements and stretches for you, put them together into some simple routines that you can do from the comfort of your own home and feel good. And by the way, if you do decide to jump in through there, come to the next live call that I'm on, which will be next Monday, and say hello. Say hello. Say you're on the live call, all right? Okay, I'm going to do a couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap this up. First one is from Margaret. I don't have the range of motion. I'm assuming she means that she's used to having since having my hip replaced. How can I increase this as well as getting my strength back? Ooh, the hips are tricky, but Margaret, let's see if we can help you out, okay? And let's see if we can teach everybody else who's watching some cool stuff about movement, because to me, we're never taught how our own body moves. And because of that, we walk through the world and we move through the world wrong. And just like I say, when you move better, you feel better. When you move wrong, you feel worse. When you move worse, you feel worse, okay? But there's some simple principles here. The hip joint is a ball and socket joint. It means it's one of the more mobile joints of the body, along with joints like the shoulder. But this joint only really moves 3 different ways, okay? It moves side to side like this, right? It moves front to back like this, and then it rotates inside the socket like this, okay? So when we're talking about increasing range of motion in the hip joint, we want to use stretches and movements to increase those 3 planes of motion, okay? So I'm going to show you some simple ways to do them, and hopefully they will help out, okay? You don't have to do all these stretches. Sometimes the best thing to do is pick the ones that feel like the best fit for you, but I'll show you a few variations for you to choose from, okay? First, I already showed this one, but we want to stretch the hamstrings if we want to have nice loose hips. So my favorite of all time, still remains the lying hamstring stretch, because you can do this if you're a beginner with your leg way down here, and you can do this if you're advanced by grabbing your toes. You don't even need the towel anymore, okay? So hamstring stretch like this, 1 minute each side. That's going to loosen up the hamstrings and create range of motion in that forward and backward plane of motion. Next is going to be hip flexors. I already showed this in the beginning for lower back, but we want to stretch the hip flexors if we have tight hips. If we're a beginner, often the most comfortable way to stretch the hip flexors is in a standing position like this, where we tuck the pelvis and we move our body forward until we feel the stretch across this back hip right here, okay? And again, with every stretch, we breathe and we relax as we open that hip up, okay? Let this hip open up. I like to think about length here, as much length from my abdomen down to the top of my thigh as possible. Again, a minute right, a minute left should really help with this range of motion forward and backward through the hip capsule, okay? Now let's talk about side to side, okay? For the groin, my favorite stretch is a straddle stretch, okay? And you can start in a chair by taking your feet out nice and wide, turning your toes out, turning your knees out, and then bringing your belly button towards your thighs like this and just doing some motion here if you want, or bringing your body forward like this. If you don't feel a big stretch here like this, then all you have to do is bring it down to the ground. And this time you can straighten your legs. You'll definitely feel a groin stretch here. Same thing, just bring your belly forward and backward and you get some motion in this position. So when you do motion, you're also getting flexibility and the strength to come out of that position. So it's a great way to do things, okay? So this is the groin. Now let's talk about the outsides of the legs. And this is one of the more challenging ones to stretch. There's not a lot of really easy beginner ways to do this, but I'll show you a couple different ways where you can get the outside of the leg to stretch, okay? One of my favorite ways is, you can, again, do these things in bed, by the way. Make it easy on yourself. I'll in bed, what I'll do is I'll come up to my elbow, I'll swing my leg over, and I'll bring my hands up, and I'll try to pull my body up like this, okay? So what I'm feeling here is a stretch through the outside of my hip and into the outside of my abdomen. That's going to stretch the opposite motion of the groin stretch along the outside of the hip right here, okay? This is one variation. You can do it on both sides. Another variation that I really like, again, this is a great one you could do in bed, is I cross my ankle over my knee like this, then I'm going to let that foot fall down to the ground like this. And you'll get that same stretch through the outside of the thigh and through the outside of the hip by doing this stretch as well. And as always, if you want to make this a little easier, straighten your leg a little more, and that's going to change the stretch and make it a little bit simpler. If you bend this knee a little bit more, it's going to make it more challenging by bringing the leg up higher, okay? So that's a great way to stretch the outsides of the legs and the outsides of the hips. When it comes to stretching the internal and external rotation of the hips, one of my favorite ones is a hip 90-90, and you can start in a chair, and what you're going to do is this. Drop your knees to one side, so this opens up and this internally rotates. Go slow, especially if you have knee pain, all right? Don't push yourself to the limit. This is about hip rotation. You can even grab your thigh if you need to and pull it into hip rotation, and oftentimes that'll alleviate the knee pain, okay? And all you're going to do is just go back and forth like this in a chair, okay? Now over time, we can work our way down to the floor or a lower surface, bring our hands behind our back, and then just do some hip 90-90s like this, okay? And if you really want to deepen either one of these stretches, you can pause here and lean towards this thigh if you want more internal rotation, or pause here and lean towards this foot if you want to stretch more external rotation. Sometimes you can do both, just 10 seconds here, 10 seconds here, rotate over, same thing, 10 seconds towards this knee, 10 seconds towards this ankle, like this, and you can get all those muscles stretched out, all right? So there I just showed you how to stretch your hips in basically every range of motion that your hips can be stretched. Probably the best thing to do, again, is not do all 6 of these stretches, but instead pick 2 or 3 and try to do them consistently and frequently. I always tell people that I'd rather have you do a few stretches really consistently and really frequently than, do a yoga class for an hour, twice a week. Because when you give your body lots of exposure to the same stretches, that's when it really receives a clear signal. It's time to loosen up. It's time to change my range of motion and mobility, okay? So this should help with both the range of motion and the strength, Margaret. But if you want to go a little bit further on the strength side of things, probably the most important thing that you're going to want to maintain is your ability to do a simple move
that we like to call at WeShape the sit to stand, okay? Now, why this is so important is because it turns out it's not flexibility, it's not cardiovascular capacity that determines how long people live. One of the most important things for longevity and even quality of life is the strength of our thighs, which is best strengthened by the ability to do a simple squat like this, okay? And so why I'm focusing on this for your hips is because when we teach the squat at WeShape, we teach the squat to move from the hips first and the knees second, not the knees first and the hips second, okay? So a couple key points for you. A little bit wider than hip width stance, toes turned outward. Make sure the knees point the same direction as your toes, but you really want to make this a hip hinge movement. So throughout the day you can do this. Just do like 5 sit to stands, and then a week later do 6 each time you do this, and then 7, and then 8. Just moving throughout the day again can be so helpful for us. But what we're going to do is shift the weight to the heels, push the butt back, keep a nice flat back, okay? And then we're going to come down into the chair, push the weight into the heels, bow forward, keep the back flat, and then try to extend the hips forward to stand up. We're going to inhale down, exhale up. And if you're really struggling with this movement, which is totally fine, we have a lot of people who enter WeShape struggling with this movement, use your hands on your knees for support initially. And maybe only start with like 1 or 2 repetitions and do that once or twice a day. So instead of just standing up from a chair mindlessly, like this, right? We want to actually practice movement as we do movement in our daily life. But if you can start to build capacity to the point where maybe you can do 20 sit to stands without your hands, without resting, well, guess what? You'll have a lot of hip strength and your whole lower body will feel so much better. And like I said before I showed you this movement, it's going to be one of the best things you can do for your overall longevity and quality of life, okay? So maintain your ability to do squats and sit to stands, so important. And try those stretches. I just showed you how to stretch hips basically in every range of motion I could possibly think of. So, all right. I'm going to do one more question because we're almost at an hour of Q&A. I cannot believe how fast that went by. And this one is from somebody who's a top fan. I don't know what that means, but it's kind of cool. All right, top fan, Patricia B. Lee. Thanks for making a comment here. So I have sadly become a couch potato since my husband passed away 1,522 days ago. I need to get energy and flexibility back again. Yeah, that's a good question, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I can tell by the fact that you know to the day how long it's been that this has been really challenging for you, Patricia. So, yeah, thanks for asking the question. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being willing enough to just ask that question again. So, I think a lot of us have become couch potatoes, especially as people age. I talked a little bit about how to turn this around by starting small, and I still think that's a really good answer. But if I'm honest, one of the things that we do at WeShape is we host these feel-good challenges. And when people join our feel-good challenges, they probably see us on social media teaching movement like we've been doing all night, and they think to themselves, I'm going to join this challenge so that I can lose some weight or something, right? They usually start there. And when they join the challenge, what they ultimately learn is that at WeShape, while we're really focused on movement, on teaching you how to move better and feel better, on building technology and an architecture to be able to provide you a personalized routine. Like our goal is to make it feel like we're your personal trainer where everything is customized just for you. While that's really important to WeShape, none of that matters without the right mindset. And for the people in our challenge, what we do is we first focus on teaching them that workouts aren't a form of punishment. They aren't a form of changing the way you look. The purpose of your workout is to take care of your body. And if there's anything I know for sure, I don't know your husband at all, but I'm sure he would have wanted you to take care of yourself. And that's what I want for everybody who's watching this right now, is not to use fitness as a way to change how you look because ultimately you hate yourself, but instead to use fitness, and more particularly a movement practice, a stretching practice, as a means to take care of your body. Because there's things that everyone on this call does right now to take care of yourself, right? And one of the ways I like to think about this is, if I told you that I was going to take your toothbrush away for a week, he'd probably say to me, "No, Coach Tyler, don't take my toothbrush away. I gotta brush my teeth and take care of my teeth," right? You've built a habit around that because you value your teeth. You want them to feel clean and good. And if I took it away, it wouldn't just be like, I want that back. It'd be like, I'm gonna brush my teeth. Well, that's the mindset shift we try to help people with at WeShape, is going from working out is a chore, is a task that I have to do to lose weight, to change the way I look, even to fix my aches and pains. We want to shift that to, I deserve to have a body that feels good. I deserve to create time and space to take care of my body. I deserve to feel good. And so, Patricia, if you're struggling to get back on track, I can understand why. Losing someone you love is really challenging. And I think a lot of us have faced levels of depression in our lives that have made us feel like we don't want to do anything. But I know that you and everybody else watching knows that you should be taking care of your body. You know you should be brushing your teeth to take care of your teeth. Well, what about your muscles, your bones, your joints, right? We should be taking care of that too. There's a lot of benefits that come from shifting our mindset away from, I got to work out for an hour, I got to push myself to the limit, I got to sweat, I got to feel my heart pumping, I got to breathe heavy. No. Let's do fitness that feels good. Let's stop doing fitness that feels bad. And so, Patricia, pick a movement or a stretch that I taught today. Any one of them, just one. And just tell yourself, I'm going to do this movement or stretch once a day. Again, take out your phone, set a reminder, put it on there, and just do that movement or stretch once a day. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just see the reminder the next day and get after it. And let's build a small habit of taking care of yourself. Let's build a small habit of you learning how to take care of yourself, feel good, appreciate yourself, and repeat that process. And then over time, you can do more and more of that. And if you do more and more of that, it builds on itself and the habit forms. And before you know it, just like brushing your teeth, where if I took your toothbrush away, you'd be like, no. If I told you you weren't allowed to stretch or move for a week, you'd be like, no. When you get there, then you know that this has become second nature to you. But it starts with a mindset shift that you deserve to take care of your body, you deserve to feel good in your body, and you deserve to carve out the time and space to do those things. So for everybody watching right now, carve out some time and space in your life, even if it's just for 1 minute a day, to do one simple movement or stretch. Do that consistently, and then take a moment to appreciate how much you've shown up for yourself in that moment. Do that consistently for a couple weeks, a couple months, and when you're ready, do a little bit more. You'll build a good habit, you'll start to feel good in your body, and you'll start to feel good about yourself, okay? All right, well, thanks everybody for being here for this Q&A. Again, if you want us to build you a 10-minute personalized movement and stretching routine, you can try it out for free for 2 weeks. Just go to WeShape.com/quiz or click a link around here anywhere you see it with that same title. And you'll take our free quiz. We'll try to find the best movements and stretches for your body, and we'll put them together into a personalized routine that you can do in just 10 minutes from the comfort of your own home. And hopefully, if you give it a shot, we can help you build that habit so you can start showing up for yourself. All right. Thanks again for watching. And we'll be here next week on Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time again, talking more about lower body movements and stretches to help your lower body feel amazing. So if you enjoyed this, I hope you come to that one as well. I'll see y'all next time.